Before sunrise, at 5:42 a.m., a fire ripped through a logistics hub near Belgorod. A convoy of 30 heavy trucks and rail containers carrying more than $1.1 billion in North Korean weapons was hit and destroyed in seconds. Ukraine's long-range systems locked on and struck. Secondary explosions lit the sky, and by the time crews arrived, warehouses and vehicles had melted into slag. This was no accident. It was the result of months of watching, tracing, and waiting. Satellites tracked odd cargo movements since early autumn. Containers labeled as aid, manifests with vague codes, ships moving through Rajin, offloads at Vladivostok. Ukraine's GUR and Western partners listened. Every leg of the route was mapped. Every stop was recorded. The pattern held long enough to set a trap. The convoy rolled into the hub. Trucks stopped near storage sheds and rail spurs. Drones hovered above, feeding coordinates into a kill chain. Recon platforms from US and UK systems refined the aim. Storm Shadow cruise missiles and long-range Ukrainian drones launched in a tight window. The first hits cracked containers open. The follow-up strikes detonated the payloads. Flames shot up in pillars. The depot turned to slag. Satellite images taken hours later showed blackened pits where warehouses had stood and rows of vehicles burned to frames. Inside the cargo were artillery shells, drone kits, and parts for short-range ballistic missiles. Russia needed them fast. Stocks at the front were low. Offensives in the east had stalled. Ammunition was rationed. North Korean supplies were meant to fill the gap. Instead, they became smoke. The political cost was instant. For Russia, this was another blow to the image of strength it tries to project. For North Korea, it was a public failure. Pyongyang had touted these deals as proof it could shape events far from home. Now, the world has seen $1 billion of North Korean arms destroyed on Russian soil. Revenue gone, reputation damaged. This partnership did not appear out of thin air. Since mid-2023, as sanctions tightened and battlefield losses grew, Moscow looked for friends willing to ignore the rules. North Korea stepped forward. Weapons for oil, weapons for grain, weapons for promises of tech. The trade was secret, but not invisible. Ukraine's cyber units found links between procurement officers and North Korean go-betweens. Encrypted chats were pulled apart. Shipment times and routes were exposed. The strike this morning was the result. The Kremlin's first move was denial. State outlets called it a depot fire. Then the posts vanished. Hospitals in Belgorod and Kursk are filled with drivers and logistics officers. Independent Russian reporters in exile confirmed a surge in casualties. Local officials urged calm. But videos kept spreading. Residents filmed the glow over the horizon and the rolling blasts. The story could not be contained. Kiev did not gloat. The general staff issued a memo. Senior officials framed the strike as part of a broader interdiction campaign. Cut the pipelines, starve the depots, hit fuel, ammo, and spares across the support grid, not just at the front. The target set included Iranian drones and North Korean shells. Anything that kept Russian guns firing was now a target. In Seoul, the response was swift. Defense officials called it proof of North Korea's illegal arms trade and a lawful act of Ukrainian defense. South Korean media framed it as a warning. Pyongyang's exports don't bring strength, they bring exposure. At the United Nations, the facts reopened old debates. Resolutions bar North Korean arms exports. Russia has used its veto to shield Pyongyang, but a strike this size changed the mood. The US, the UK, the EU, Japan, and South Korea began pushing new ideas within hours. More maritime inspections, tighter financial tracking, and closer intel sharing to catch the next shipment before it moves. Inside Russia, the effects are hard to hide. Soldiers at the front ask where shells are. Officers issue ration orders. Logistics planners redraw routes deeper into the interior. Depth is no longer safe. Precision reaches far. If you store it, Ukraine will hunt it. If you move it, Ukraine will watch it. If you mass it, Ukraine will strike it. For North Korea, the loss goes beyond money. The regime had invested resources to refurbish old stock and build new batches for export. Factories were tasked, workers pushed, networks reactivated. Now those costs sit in a crater outside Belgorod. The leadership must show control at home, but elites know what happened. Propaganda can blame the West. It cannot refill the ledger. China watched with concern. It has long balanced support for Moscow with caution. A public blast tied to Pyongyang's arms is an embarrassment. Expect cooler ties and quieter pressure to avoid more public blunders. In Tehran and Minsk, the lesson is the same. Iran's Shahed drones once slipped through. Now air defenses catch more of them. Belarus helps with parts and logistics, but its capacity is limited. Each external lifeline grows thinner under scrutiny. Each lost shipment adds weight to the scale. The strike also shows how Ukraine has changed. Long-range precision that was rare is now routine. Western tech and Ukrainian systems work together. Drones fly farther. Targeting is faster. AI sorts vast data from satellites and signals. That is how a hidden convoy became a map pin. There is a morale effect. Soldiers expecting resupply found only ash. Ukrainians gained confidence. Donors saw returns. Perception matters in war. Globally, the optics are changing. Russia has argued it leads a front against Western control. But what the world saw was dependence and vulnerability. A supposed great power waiting on North Korean shells and failing to protect them. Countries that tried to stay neutral noticed. India urged adherence to the law. Middle Eastern observers questioned Moscow's capacity to deliver. The myth of unlimited Russian depth is cracking. The economic ripple is immediate. Insurance costs rise. Shippers avoid risky routes. Black market brokers withdraw. Parts and propellants become harder to find. Factories strain under higher costs. Replacement cycles are slow. Sanctions bite deeper when fear raises the price of cheating. On the battlefield, effects show quickly. Artillery and drone use fall. Commanders spread supplies to avoid big losses. That lowers efficiency and creates new vulnerabilities that Ukraine will exploit. Politically in Moscow, mid-level officials become frustrated. They see the cost of relying on partners under sanction. They see the risks of stockpiling in known hubs. They see the public reaction that they cannot manage. Governors near the border walk a tightrope between fear and denial. The center tries to keep control by staying vague. The facts keep leaking out anyway. In Pyongyang, leaders will issue a sharp statement soon. It will blame the US and call the strike a provocation. It will promise to continue support, but behind closed doors, planners will ask difficult questions. Can routes be hidden better? Can ships be masked longer? Can payments be secured ahead of delivery? None of those questions erases a billion-dollar fire. For Ukraine, this is a pivot point. Deep interdiction is not a single event. It is a drumbeat. From energy hubs in the rear to depots near the front, the aim is to force Russia into a permanent logistics crisis. Do that long enough and every attack at the line weakens before it starts. Guns bark less. Armor rolls rarely. Infantry loses faith. The law matters. Allies point to UN bans on North Korean arms. They view a strike on an illegal shipment, feeding an invasion as a lawful defense. Russia will protest. But concentrating banned weapons in known hubs invites precision strikes like the one at 5:42 AM. Listen to Kyiv's message. Officials speak directly to external suppliers, Iran, North Korea, and anyone else thinking about filling Russia's gaps. Your cargo is not safe because it is far away. Your ships are not safe because the paperwork says grain. Your trucks are not safe because the depot is in Russia. If Ukraine can find it, it can hit it. The next moves will be quiet. More listening, more mapping. The patient is waiting until the value pools are in one place. Then another strike. That is how you break a coalition of convenience. You don't argue it away. You make it expensive. You make it unreliable. Partners drift when the risks outweigh the gains. As dawn spreads over Eastern Europe, the smoke over Belgorod tells a simple story. Russia bet on outside help. North Korea bet on fast profit and political credit. Ukraine bet on intelligence, timing, and precision. Only one of those bets paid today. The debris on the ground is more than scrap. It is a sign that the axis of sanctions evasion cannot protect its own lifelines. This war is about systems, about who learns faster, about who adapts under pressure. Ukraine's strike shows a system that fuses data, tools, and will. Russia's loss shows a system that depends on distant, fragile pipelines. North Korea's failure shows a system that mistakes secrecy for safety. The morning after $1 billion burned, people will ask what comes next. Expect more strikes like this one. Expect tighter global checks on North Korean shipments. Expect Russia to scatter its stores and spend precious time and fuel doing so. Expect Ukraine to keep building the long reach that made today possible. The convoy is gone. The hub is ash. The lesson is clear. If you try to feed this war with illegal cargo, you will lose it before it reaches the front. And the world will see the fire.